Hi friends, today we are painting a very special painting. Um, it's a painting of Kolmanskop in Namibia and a place that I love, of course. Um, and the photo that I got for this one was from Unsplash. I'll put it over here. And it's photographed by Andrew Svk. So thank you very much for your photo. I used it as inspiration. So I did the house, but I did the background a bit differently, added some more dunes and desert in the background. And I also made it a richer gold color and not because I really wanted that contrast between the sky and the house and the desert. So this is what the final picture looks like. Um, Outlines for this one will be available on my website under my shop. They are for free. You just need to add them to your cart and check out, and it's completely for free. So make sure to make use of that, of the outline. The outline, what you can do with it is you can either um, paint print it on watercolor paper, which but if you're doing something bigger, like like this one's almost A3 size, you can print it out for you. Either use a light box, or you can do it block by block. Divide your whole picture into blocks, print it out on normal paper, divide it into blocks, and draw it block by block. Or you can trace it, of course. Use tracing paper, trace the image, and then put it down and scratch on the other side of tracing paper. Let me know if you want me to show you how to do that, because then I can make a video on it. So for today, I used a nice big brush. You can use any type of flat brush or anything. Just I mainly used it for the sky and the desert area. I used this brand, Royal and Langnickel. I think I got this from Officeworks. And then I used my Princeton brushes. I used an angular brush, and I used my round brush number 2, which I use for almost everything. And then I used a Montmartre detail brush as well for all the fine little details in the trees and things like that. And the paints that I used today, I only use professional paints for this one because I want to sell it as well. So I used my Sennelier paints, the burnt sienna, warm sepia, Payne's grey. I used Paul Rubens black, and then I also used the Daniel Smith Aussie red gold, Daniel Smith nickel azo yellow. And I think that's the only colors that I use. So very limited palette for this one, because you really want that desert and the isolation to kind of stand out. So not a lot of color. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this one and follow along with me. Grab those outlines if you're not sure how to draw this. Happy to help with the outline. And let's get painting. I want to frame this painting, so I'm putting masking tape all around my watercolor block. And I just want to, so I'm just making sure that it's sticking on nicely so that it can give a nice white frame all around my painting. And now I'm going to sketch this out. So you can use tracing paper, you can use a light box, you can use, printing it. If you are printing it, just make sure that you change the color to like a really light gray or transparent so that it doesn't come out too dark and mix with your painting. But I'm just sketching it out roughly as I see it. So I start with the side that's closest to me, and I'm just gonna sketch out the house as I see it in the picture, but I'm just changing like the wooden posts that's in the middle. If you go back and look at that painting, sorry, at the photo, um, it's just a bit different. I'm just changing some of the things that I like, or that will be easier to paint, or that I'll just want to change the look of maybe. So it's your painting. You can make it look however you'd like. Feel free to add or to change anything to make it your own. So I'm just sketching out the roof here. I'm using some gum arabic here just to mask out my trees, and then I'm going to let that dry completely before I move on. So I've only done the bottom of the tree, which will just make it easier to paint it later. You can use masking fluid as well. I just find gum arabic, it works for the look that I was going through, because it didn't have to be really white at the bottom. Um, and then I'm just doing a blue wash for the sky. So I'm not going to add any clouds or any texture. I just want a plain, no clouds in the sky, just a blue wash. And then I'll let this dry completely before moving on to the next step. You can dry it with a hair dryer, but just making sure, even though I'm working at the bottom, I just wanted to make sure I'm not touching any wet paint or ruining any wet paint, or because I'm quite clumsy, so trust me to put my sleeve over it or something. So I really make sure to dry this step before moving on. Okay, so the bottom of the house has got these like rocks that they make bricks from. So I first put them up and then I kind of gone over them because I don't want them to stand out, so much. So I've painted them in and just then blotched them out with paper towel so that it's a bit lighter again. And I am doing a lot of layers today, so I will go back to this and I will add to it again. If you don't know the history of Kolmanskop, I'll read it for you. So this is on a travel website, Kerdowny, Africa. And while I'm painting that, you might as well listen to this. So, driven by the wealth of the first diamond miners, the area was soon transformed into a fully functional German town with a hospital, a ballroom, power station, school, theatre, sport hall, casino, ice factory, four-lane bowling alley. More uniquely, the town even had a furniture factory, swimming pool, butcher, bakery, the first X-ray station in the southern hemisphere, as well as the first tram in Africa. Okay, so I'm doing the roof over here and I wanted to have a bit of texture on it. So I've done the top and I'm sort of going in with a dry brush just to get some effect, adding in some color and then just with a dry brush bringing out that color, leaving some white space and doing a shadow over here. Okay, back to the history. Kolmanskop, Namibia boomed up until the 1920s but experienced a rapid standstill after World War I. Diamond prices dropped, diamond fields surrounding Kolmanskop were slowly being depleted, and richer diamond deposits were being found further south of Namibia near Aranyamund. By 1954, the mining town, which once housed 300 German adults, 40 children, and 800 Ovambo contract workers, was left deserted to the forces of nature. Within a time frame of 40 years, the town of Kolmanskop was created, flourished, and left deserted. In 1980, the Beers Mining Company restored and transformed the town into a museum open to the public. So yes, I was there when I was very small. I think I must have been still primary school when we went through there. My parents are both from Namibia, so we went to Namibia a lot, but we haven't gone like traveled. We always went to like Henties or Swakop or Sumeb where the family was, or Vantuk, but we once traveled through Kolmanskop and visited it. So yeah, so it's that's just why I really love it. Like I love Namibia, and the solitude and the isolation of this little house just speaks to me. Just makes me happy to look at it. Or it brings peace. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that little piece of history as well. And I am now painting the inside of the house that you can see from standing outside here. So the inside is pretty dark because there's lots of shadows falling inside. And then on the right hand side there's that door, and there's like a wall inside that is busy, the plaster's coming off, so that's why I've put those brown spots in there. Doing the cracks here with a fine liner brush. and also a shadow for the chimney. So if you've ever traveled to Namibia, you'll understand what I'm saying, or if you live there. It's just a different kind of magic being there and discovering these places and being in the desert. I always felt as a kid that this was the place where I can go and clear my head and just I think it was just spending the time with family that was really precious. We don't realize that, as you grow older, sometimes, people move away and just don't see your cousins that often. So it's good memories. So I'm just adding some lines around the brown that I did. This gives it more of that effect of the paper, the plaster coming off. So on these walls, I want a bit of texture on them, and I'm going to go quite dark on the side walls. So I'm adding first a bit of yellow, a bit of brown, and then I'll also add some Payne's grey eventually, just to give it a bit of texture, to give it depth in color. And then I really want some dry brush technique on it as well. So that's why I'm layering and going over it again and again, going with a dry brush. Paper towel is your best friend when doing watercolor. If you're quick enough, you can lift up and fix any mistakes. So just continue playing on your walls, especially first doing wet on wet with a back layer and then adding some dry brush, adding some brown, some yellow, and then eventually adding some blue, Payne's grey for your shadows. Remember the one that's facing this way, the roof that's the first one that I drew, that one is closer and that one's in the sun, where the other two will have shadows on them. So dropping in different colors again, sorry, wet on wet, so yellow and brown, doing some dry brush. A round brush works really nice, putting it a bit flat on your paper. If it's Just think about your shadows while you're doing this. Is a shadow coming from the roof? A shadow from the side of this front facing window? Or the room that's closest to us? I'm using the big flat brush to do wet on wet here in the front. This beautiful color from Daniel Smith. And do you see how the trees are not, they're staying white? So that's the gum Arabic doing that. I'm adding in some brown for depth of color. There's always shadows in your sand. Doing my dunes at the back. So when I do my dunes, I do them one color and then I add a brown color, and then I just blend it in a bit more to show maybe a shadow on the dune. Now I'm just adding some texture with the Daniel Smith titanium watercolor stick, just bringing in some highlights in my sand again, and then blending it in with a brush and some water. this point I felt like I needed some more contrast in my house, so I added some more Payne's grey to both of the sides of the house. And I'm doing another layer on my rocks, just making some of them stand out by making them a bit darker. Same with the roof, I felt like it was a bit too blue, so I've just toned it down a bit with Payne's grey. So to get the gum arabic off, you need to wet it a bit and then use a paper towel to lift it. And then once you've lifted off all the gum arabic, you can paint it whichever color you'd like. So for the trees, I've gone with a darker brown, and then I'm doing a light side on the right hand side. And using that rigger brush to do some fine sticks over here. There's no leaves on this tree, it's just a dead tree here on the side. Doing some grass, just 3 grass patches here in front of the house. And then I'm using my trusty white pencil to add some highlights. And just doing some final touches with the detail brush. Okay, friends, that was so much fun. Thank you for following along with me and subscribe to my channel for more awesome tutorials. I hope that you had a lot of fun and show me your pictures. I'd love to see them if you do this. So tag me on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, Watercolor Wellness. I would love to see what yours look like. Or I've created a Facebook group, Australian watercolor artists, something in those lines. Can't remember. Where you can also share, follow and like and all those things. But yes, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for painting with me. Thank you for your support. And I hope you had fun painting this one.